Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're stepping away from the bright lights, the Champions League, the big money transfers. Instead, we're pulling on our boots and getting a bit muddy in the intricate and often illegal world of Italian grassroots football, calcio.
We have a really remarkable set of sources for you today. They map out the entire 9-level Italian football pyramid, and it reveals this vast, sprawling structure it's far larger than most fans would ever imagine.
Right, but the real story is in the underbelly.
Exactly. The sources expose a system that's pretty much defined by dual contracts, really powerful agents, and, deliberate ignorance from the governing body.
So our mission today is to show you the whole thing, from the global giants all the way down to the local legends playing on pitches literally bordered by apartment blocks. We want to uncover what truly defines this national obsession, the drama, the art, the deception, and, of course, the hot passion, especially where the rules are loosest. So let's try and unpack this labyrinth.
When you look at Italy, you just have to appreciate the sheer scale of it all. It's a 9-level system. But the vast majority of that system is, believe it or not, categorized as amateur.
Only the top three are pro.
Just the top three, Serie A, Serie B, and Serie C. That's it.
And even within those professional ranks, the priorities, they change really fast. Serie A, that's level 1. It's internationally known, been running since, 1929? The stats on its historical significance are just stunning. I saw one source point out that in 2017, out of 442's top 100 players, 42 had played in Serie A.
Wow.
More than any other league in the world. It's a tactical powerhouse.
Right. And then you have level 2, Serie B, the Cadetteria, they call it the junior league, also 20 teams. But structurally, I think level 3 Serie C is where you really start to see rules designed to prioritize development, not just, spending power.
Tell us more about that. What makes Serie C so unique?
Well, Serie C is crucial. It's the gateway. It has 60 teams, and they're split into 3 regional groups, North, Central, and South. The promotion and relegation numbers are really tight. 4 go up to B, 9 drop down to D.
That's a lot of churn.
It is. But here's the critical rule. The limit on veteran players. Clubs can only register 16 players over the age of 23.
Only 16.
Plus 2 wildcards. But, and this is the key, they can use an unlimited number of U23 players, so it forces clubs to invest in their youth, to push young talent, makes it a real development league.
That's a massive structural incentive, isn't it? And below that, below Serie C, we're into the huge amateur base. Where does it really explode?
Oh, immediately. At level 4, Serie D. This is the highest semi-professional tier. You've got 162 teams here, split into 9 large regional divisions. The Gironi, the winners compete for the Scudetto Dilettanti, the amateur title. But below this, the whole thing just decentralizes.
So we start dropping down into the purely regional leagues.
Exactly. Levels 5, 6, and 7, Eccellenza, Promozione, and Prima Categoria, each one has hundreds and hundreds of teams. We're talking about thousands of clubs across the country. And what's fascinating is that level 7, Prima Categoria, was actually the name for Italy's top league until 1922.
No way.
Yeah, so the name carries all this history, even if the level is hyper-local now.
And if we drop all the way to the bottom, level 9, the Terza Categoria, you find the true amateur spirit. This is where the barrier to entry is almost zero.
The Terza Categoria is truly the bottom rung, and there are 2 fantastic facts about it. First, you can't be relegated from it. It's just pure participation.
So you can't fail.
You can't fail. And second, it's the only division where the head coach requires no federal license whatsoever. Anyone can coach. It's football at its most raw, its most accessible.
So the whole system is vast. It's structured into 9 connected levels, which means, in theory, that climb from a local park all the way to Serie A is actually possible. But now that we get the structure, let's talk about the cultural reality, because this is where the drama really lives.
It's a completely different world. Below Serie C, the whole incentive structure is kind of inverted. Promotion often isn't even guaranteed if you win the playoffs.
So what's the point?
Well, the motivation becomes less about the grand prize and more about the simple pleasure of it. Just to play and strive to win. It's football for football's sake.
And the physical surroundings must reflect that.
Oh, they do. The stadiums are typically state or municipally owned, and honestly, due to a serious lack of investment, they look worn out. They might be nestled right between apartment blocks, or you might be playing with a stunning mountain landscape in the background. It really emphasizes that this is local life, not some corporate spectacle.
That local life extends right into the stands, I bet.
Absolutely. If you go to a match at the lowest levels, entry is often free. Maybe they'll ask for a voluntary donation. The essential element of the match day isn't the big sponsor signs, it's the on-site cafe or bar.
This is where we found one of the most surprising cultural details. This small, often family-run place is providing coffee, beer, wine, food. But we saw reports where wine was actually cheaper than bottled water.
It's true. Our sources quoted wine being sold for like €1.50 to €2, while a standard beer was $2.50 to $5. I mean, think about what that says about the priorities of the spectator culture. The match result is almost secondary to enjoying life, enjoying the moment.
It just paints such a visceral picture. This wonderful domestic chaos. You see grills operating right under the stands, laundry hanging nearby. It's so authentic.
Yeah.
Does that culture change much by region?
Absolutely. There's a really distinct geographical divide. The South tends to be far more emotional, more passionate in the stands. They have this strong, traditional, local cheering culture.
You support your local team for life.
For life. The North tends to be a bit quieter, a bit more reserved.
And as you climb the pyramid, that homey atmosphere must fade away.
It does. Once you get higher up, even in the amateur ranks, that sort of craft experience shifts towards standard fast food places. Sometimes you have to wait in 2 lines just to buy a token, then another line to get your food. The personal touch is gone. But, no matter the level, local business sponsorship is always key. It taps into that deep well of local patriotism.
Okay, so we've painted this picture of charming, chaotic, cheap, wine-fueled passion. Now we have to pivot sharply, because this whole underlying structure allows a massive amount of legal activity to just flourish. Let's talk about black money.
This is where the system's integrity just collapses. Officially, the Federation, the LND, strictly limits what amateur players can get. They call it reimbursement. The max is €77 and change per match, about 62 per training session, which leads to a total annual gross limit of €25,822. That's the legal limit.
But the reality, from what multiple players said, is completely different. One player, player AC, he claimed he bought a house solely from his amateur football earnings. He even suggested good players often earn more in amateur Serie D than in the professional Serie C.
More. But Serie C is professional.
More. Though he did admit, C offers professional benefits like pension contributions.
Okay, wait. If the official limit is around 25,000 gross and players are buying property, how are the clubs doing that legally? Are they just openly breaking the rules?
They are breaking the rules, but with a highly structured mechanism. It's called the dual contract. The club registers an official contract with the league for a legal minimum, let's say €7,500, tax-free for the year. That protects the player enough to get registered.
And the rest, the real salary.
That's paid via separate, private, unregistered documents, the black money. And this is the real salary. But it creates this terrifying legal trap for the player.
How so?
If the club defaults on that small official $7,500, the player can easily appeal to the league and get it back. But if the club defaults on the €30,000 black money deal, the player has to go to ordinary civil justice.
And the second they do that, they're admitting in court that they signed an illegal deal, which violates the league's rules.
Exactly. They violate the arbitration clause. By admitting the private deal exists, the player risks disqualification and huge fines, as does the club manager. The system is designed to force the player into silence. It protects the club.
It's a mechanism that weaponizes the rules against the victim. So given that risk, what kind of money are we actually talking about here?
For good players, these are fully professional salaries. In Serie D, that's level 4, they're earning €35,000 to €40,000 a year. In Eccellenza, level 5, it's about $25,000. Even in Promozione, level 6, players are pulling in $20,000. So it's absolutely clear that Serie D operates like a professional league, despite the official dilettante name.
And the stories back that up. That player, AC, who bought the house, he said he got stiffed for money twice. The first time he appealed ended up getting blackmailed and lost a 10-year lawsuit. The second time he was owed 2 months' pay, he just sadly agreed, he said, and walked away. The risk was just too high.
And it isn't just the players. The same pattern applies to the coaches. Officially, a Serie D coach is limited to €14,000 a year. But the best ones are earning 2 or 3 times that through the same back-channel deals.
Which raises the big question. If everyone knows this is happening, players, coaches, clubs, what is the Federation doing? Why are they so quiet?
Our sources confirm the Federation knows. One coach, PSF, he recounted calling the federation about 13,000 euros in unpaid illegal wages he was owed. The federation's response was just chillingly casual. They said, you know how it goes. Unfortunately, you cannot proceed through legal channels.
So they admit it. They admit the system exists and just offer no help.
None. And the reason, as the coach explained, is self-preservation. The federation cannot and does not want to go against the clubs. These clubs, even in the lower tiers, bring in money. Registration fees, gate receipts.
The sources compare it to a smaller-scale calciopoly, that famous 2006 scandal. The idea is, unless you have an advantage by speaking up, you just stay quiet. The corruption is too widespread.
And into this vacuum of enforcement steps the agent, the scourge, as they're labeled in our sources. Agents are now deeply embedded, even in the supposedly amateur Serie D.
And their incentive is just pure profit, right? They push clubs to invest in players because every transfer is a commission for them, not in, say, stable coaching staffs where there's less money for them to make.
Right. Agents earn maybe 500 to 2,000 euros per transfer, about 10% of the deal. But the volume is massive. And this has coaches saying agents are destroying football. They prioritize their deals. They have zero obligation to the player after it's done. And when a player fails,
They blame the coach?
they just blame the coach.
The dehumanization is stark. The coach, PF, he described these youth fairs where agents treat children like cattle, just commenting, negotiating, tricking them, viewing them as products.
And here's where the allegations get really dark, turning toward outright criminality. The sources highlight a serious accusation about a large agency company in the Marseille region. They're accused of influencing match results late in the season.
How would that even work?
The mechanism is pretty sophisticated. This company supposedly controls multiple players, 4 or 5 on each team, across several rival clubs.
They use intimidation or promises of better transfers to influence results. And they specifically target teams that have already met their goals for the season and have nothing left to play for, so they're vulnerable.
Exactly. And the cost of refusing to cooperate is immediate. One coach, M, he explained how he was fired for refusing to let this company dictate his lineup. Now, he genuinely fears he won't find work again because, in his words, he is not with them.
It suggests cooperation with these agencies is becoming a prerequisite for employment. So the corruption isn't just financial, it's structural. The agents aren't just moving money, they're potentially deciding results and blackballing anyone who stands in their way.
We have one final layer of this to get through.
Yeah.
It's this bureaucratic trap for non-EU players in Serie B and C.
This is a devastating rule for foreign players. A non-EU player has to actually win Serie D to gain promotion. They can't just be transferred up. But here's the critical twist. Once they get promoted to Serie C, they must play for that promoting team for the first 6 months.
Wait, they're locked in for 6 months.
Locked in. Only after that period are they free to move to another team in Serie B or C.
That just sounds like institutionalized exploitation.
Yeah.
That lock-in gives the player zero leverage.
Precisely, and unscrupulous club managers exploit it. Since the player has no immediate option to jump to a better team, they're forced to accept, not good financial conditions. They might be playing for next to nothing or even for free, knowing the alternative is to go back to Serie D and start that whole climb all over again.
And just to be clear, Italian and EU players don't face this, right?
Not at all. They can move freely from the lower leagues to a major Serie A club, no waiting period. It's a targeted rule that compounds the exploitation of players who are already vulnerable.
This has been a truly eye-opening deep dive. I think the key takeaway for you listening is that Italian football is so much more than Serie A. It's defined by this massive, passionate 9-level structure that relies fundamentally on an illegal system of black money contracts. And that structure is manipulated by powerful, self-interested agents who are even accused of fixing matches, all while the system somehow maintains this incredible local cultural charm.
So what does this all really mean for the beautiful game in Italy? If the vast majority of players and coaches at level 4, Serie D, the dilettanti, the amateurs, if they're all earning a full professional living salary and rely entirely on an illicit, unregistered contract system just to make ends meet, it raises an important question for you to mull over. What truly separates the amateur side of the Italian football pyramid from the professional side? If it's not the wages, not the training intensity, not even the prevalence of corruption, maybe it's only the lack of a pension plan.